Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies.
Hi.
Hi.
And hello.
And welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we are here to talk to you about
Daddy Longlegs?
Granddaddy Longlegs.
The granddaddiest of them all.
Yep.
My favorite part of the movie, can I just say it right now?
Is it?
No, it's not. It's, and I already forgot it, but it's, if you don't let me come in right now, I'll have to come back not once, not twice, but as many times as I like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That part was unsettling. Like,
yeah, very much.
Yeah,
Even
I was just like,
it's
oh
like,
my
seems like
God.
I've worn my long legs today.
Yeah.
What if I just and that's it, you guys. Thank you for joining in this episode. That was Longlegs.
That was Longlegs. Roll credits.
That is the 2024 American police procedural horror film. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. That's a
Police
whole
procedural. Oh, nope, I already messed it up.
subgenre. Police procedural horror film, written and directed by Osgood Perkins.
Oz. All I can think of is Wicked.
Yeah,
It's my
I
whole
can't wait for part
personality
two.
Nye.
Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Then that made me want to watch Zaboomafoo.
Zaboomafoo, Zoom. Did you ever watch The Voyage of the Mimi?
Zaboomafoo. Maybe if I saw it.
It was Ben Affleck's first acting credit, and it is, I don't even know, but my science teacher made us watch it. It was like a PBS American televised like thing. It came out in 1984. That's crazy.
No, I don't think I did ever see that.
Anyways,
did you ever watch Snogwa?
No.
Oh, it was about the
What's
Siamese
that?
cat.
Maybe I did then.
Yeah, the Siamese cat cartoon where she was like a princess.
Sagwa? The Chinese Siamese cat. Oh,
yeah.
That was her name. I remember her. Oh,
yeah, Sagwa.
Cute.
Sagwa is also
and
how
her whole
you say
family.
Apple in Korean.
Small world. You heard that?
Yeah.
See, I like that one. And then there was another one with the Siamese cats. Wasn't there another Siamese cat cartoon?
Oh, maybe.
Man, anybody out there, live audience, shout it out to us right now. No, I guess it might be that one. But I do remember the kitties, and they would like get into like mischief. Her and her brothers or something like that, right? Did she have brothers?
Yeah, I think they were brothers.
Were they trans?
Yes.
Oh, the Chinese cat.
Now this is just a children's review show.
Um,
Children's show review show.
that's would be quite the transition from what we usually do.
Yeah,
Um,
because what we usually do is not meant for children.
not suitable for underage children. And this movie is starring Micah Monroe, who's been in a lot of horror movies. Some other ones that we'll be covering soon to come, hopefully. Alicia
Sabrina.
Witt, Sabrina.
Yeah, well, Kiernan Shipka, she
Oh yeah,
played
Karen
Sabrina in
Shipka. Yeah.
the I didn't recognize her at first, and then I was like,
Her voice.
"Oh, that's Sabrina."
Yeah, her
I
voice
mean,
started
I
to come
recognized
too.
her, like, when I wrote down her name, so I knew she was gonna be in the film, so I was just
Mhm.
kinda waiting for her, but, like, I didn't recognize her at first with the short blonde hair and stuff. I was like, "Oh, that's her." Um,
Yeah.
and then
She was
obviously
playing,
starring,
no, you're
uh
good, you're good. Go ahead.
Anne Marie. She played Anne
Mhm.
Marie Camera. But obviously starring Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, Blair Underwood as well. And yeah, Nicolas Cage plays our antagonist, our main
Longlegs.
guy, Mr. Longlegs himself.
Yep, and he was terrifying.
Yeah,
I
and
think I'm gonna say it right now. Nicolas Cage's performance in this was fucking brilliant.
yeah, it was on another level of, like, just making you feel creeped out,
Uneasy.
uneasy,
Yeah, creep
uh
factor was super there.
mhm,
And I think it
and
was just like the paleness of his skin, like the makeup
yeah,
that was on. And I don't know, it was just, and just every movement and everything that he did was
mhm.
terrifying.
His mannerisms, they're very creepy, and, like,
Mhm.
his skin, kind of that, I think the director said it, he wanted it to mirror, like, that of the dolls, and, like, him kind of also wanting to, like, be essentially the devil's doll in terms of him being manipulating and orchestrating and doing the devil's work through himself.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" I thought Millie was in here. My thing is
Oh,
hitting the chair. Do you hear that? It's
yeah.
like a little, like, beep, beep, beep.
Beep, beep.
And so, it's this movie is basically we're following our main protagonist, and that is, Micah Monroe's character. She plays, Lee
Lee
Harker,
Harker. I
and
call her
it's
Harker for most of this
mhm,
because that was the first introduction we got of her was just like her partner saying
yeah,
Harker. It's
and I
so I
think
was
it's
like, Harker
believe
is
it's
her name.
set in '95, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
1995? Yeah, somewhere in there between, like Clinton had to been president,
because
so
of
it
the
was between
president
yeah,
on the
on
picture
the
of him
wall.
on the wall.
Yeah, so it had to be between 95 and, like, 2000. But essentially, we're in the 90s, so it's a bit of a different time period, so, like, we don't have already, like, off the bat, we don't have, like, cell phones, and we don't have, like,
Mhm.
all the things that we're kind of used to now, in terms of when we, you know, looking for a killer. So off the bat, we do start off the movie with, a poem.
Well, you're
I
slim and you're weak. You've got the teeth of a hydra upon you. You're dirty sweet and you're my girl. T-Rex, 1971.
Mhm. T-Rex is a band, right?
Yeah, I think so. So
Yeah.
I think there are song lyrics.
Mhm.
And I love the red square. We get the square like when it's mostly like flashbacks,
Mhm.
but not every time it's a flashback. So,
Mm-mm.
but it every time it does happen, it's typically a flashback. And this red square with like this guitar tuning in the background, and then we like kind of fade into a car after the
Mhm.
poem or the lyrics show up on screen.
Yeah.
And it's the music intensifies. The music definitely leads you almost at some points when it doesn't need to. Um
I enjoyed
kind
the
of
music,
I did too. I did
but I
like it.
feel you.
But it reminded me kind of a Smile.
Yeah.
But I think this was a version where like leading to nothing was done well.
Mhm.
So,
As opposed to in Smile.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was good. But yeah, we've got the intense music as we fade kind of into a car scene driving through snowy conditions when a house comes into view.
Mhm.
A
We're
big
in,
white house.
1974, Oregon, and, we are at the big house, and then the car pulls up, and there's a little girl, and she looks outside of the window, and she sees that the car pulls up, so she obviously goes outside to investigate, as a
Yep.
child does.
Which I I don't know. I feel like I would have hid, but
I don't know, yeah.
I maybe that's just my adult brain speaking. Like if I if somebody pulls up to the house and I'm not expecting them, like no,
I'm
I
like,
don't
maybe if
go.
I yeah,
I
so
won't
that way they
answer the
don't see
door.
you. Yeah.
So,
Nobody's home.
yeah, I've literally army crawled past windows before when people have knocked on my doors, and I'm like, "Nope,"
Yeah.
and I just crawl under the windows so they can't see me. But yeah, so she goes outside and she stares at the car when then
Mhm.
somebody goes, "Cuckoo!" Makes a bird call, poor one at that, from behind the house.
Mhm. And then she walks up to go see what it is, and it's, Mr. Longlegs himself.
And he says, "There she is, the
And you
almost birthday girl."
and in the frame, you can only see, like, the bottom half
His
of his body.
lips.
And yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
lips down.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And then he says, "Oh, but it seems I've worn my long legs today."
That's so creepy. And
Yeah.
then
What does
he
it mean?
yeah, I know. There was a, interview the director gave or answered whatever a question when they asked him why long legs, and he said it was because inherently, like, daddy long legs are kind of this, like, creepy they have this creepiness to them or whatever. Um
Oh, but daddy long legs can't really kill either.
Uh-huh. There was, like, a few little meanings, but more essentially
Or at least they can't bite. Their mouths are too small to bite us.
the he essentially more or less just like the words long legs. Like, he just liked how unsettling it sounded and was
Yeah.
just like, "That's the name." Like, that's it.
And so
Mhm.
really no real explanation. He just was like,
Mhm.
it felt right to him.
Yeah, essentially.
Um, well, good for
And
him.
it fits. I can see that, especially because a lot of the dads, the fathers were the ones who were committing the murders.
Mhm.
So maybe that it's, like, orchestrated through that, like, long legs himself is, like, the daddy long legs, and then his big arching legs are, contaminating all the families. I don't know. But we are, talking with him, he does that, and as soon as he comes down, we get, like, the fucking title of the movie. It goes into the red square, and then it goes into long legs, and then it's, like, blaring music and
Yes, and
credits.
very intense music, and I thought it was a great title card. I
Mhm.
liked that it tied back into the red square, and then the whole time when we're getting the, like, red square, it's slowly expanding out after the title card, and in between, we're getting flashes of, like, gruesome scenes in between the
Mhm.
credits, and they're, like, so fast, but later on, they come back into play.
Yeah,
Um, and so I thought that was cool. And then we flash to part 1, his letters. So this is a segmented movie, which we like.
I do. Mhm.
Yeah, so that was exciting. It broke it up.
Very easy
And
to digest.
yeah, exactly. So already was a fan. As soon as I saw part 1, I was like, nice. I was ready
Black
for
socks,
it.
high boots.
Yeah.
And then, we get into a briefing with some police officers, whole little station,
Yeah.
about, uh, this killer that's on the loose, essentially. Very dangerous person, he won't come easy, um, call for backup, essentially, if you do find him. And they start to pair up everybody into 2, and then they're sent off, to go do their investigating. And we're with Lee, and or Harker, and she's with her partner, which I don't remember his name. And
Yeah.
then he's kind of talking to her a little bit. They're in the car, and already off the bat, you can tell that she's kind of like um
Spacey.
spacey. Yeah, she's not all there all the time. She kind of seems like, I mean, she is there because she does like answer and respond, but she's just like one worded and very just like aloof almost. Like she's
Yeah.
just kind of like, yeah,
I
like
definitely described her as awkward whenever she was interacting with
the daughter, the little
Miss
girl.
Ruby. Yeah, Ruby
Hmm.
Carter. She was definitely awkward in that moment. But yeah, she's aloof is a good word for her too. Like she's just yeah, she's not
Like
fully
nothing's really
focused on
like,
it's like she's like in a backseat driver
girl,
in her
it's
own
like she's
body.
on Valium. Like she's just like on a Valium haze, just
Yeah.
like just sedated almost, just
Mhm.
kind of just floating in a little cloud. And the partner goes to check on one house and comes back, and I think he's just like, "Oh, there was nothing there." And she's looking at another house that's in the street, and she's very much just convinced that it's that one. She tells him like, "It's that one. Go ahead and call it in."
3525. He's in there.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I
And
was like, movie could have ended right here probably if they had just called in for backup, but I didn't realize I thought they were already going after Longlegs. I didn't realize
yeah,
this was somebody else. Um and so but I was like, "Oh." And
we're already there.
then this is when I realized they're FBI too
Yeah, not
because
just
of
police.
yeah, whenever he knocks on the door and he's like, "FBI." And then he knocks on the door and then yeah, just
Gets his head
shoots
blown
him
off.
right dead.
Shot from the neck
I was
up, from
like,
the dead
my
down.
my notes went into all caps, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it really
Shoots him in the head.
we're probably what, 7, 8 minutes into the film
Yeah,
at
and then
that?
all of a sudden, just like, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit."
It's really
Okay.
abrupt. Yeah, and then the music goes, into, like, "Ah!" And then she walks into the house to go and check on him, or, go find the killer, and then she's goes to the bedroom upstairs, and he's there, and you can only see the silhouette, but he gives himself up,
Yeah.
and, which if you go back to the briefing, they were like, "He's not gonna give himself up easily." So
Which he didn't. He still shot an officer
in the
dead.
face?
Yeah,
Yeah, but still, even
but
then,
he didn't give her any trouble.
exactly, which I think it is a part of it, to be honest.
Mhm.
And then,
Maybe he was a agent of Satan as well and knew
mhm,
that she was part of this whole something bigger than him.
kind of led her on the path, because after this whole incident and him getting shot, she gets taken into, like, the police testing, whatever, and they start to test her, I guess, for her clairvoyance, essentially.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
some sort of psych evaluation going on and um they're like making her look at flashes of an image and then like having to say the first word that comes to her mind and then having her guess a number between 0 and 100 and she got it right 8 times they say later.
But also
But she
wrong
also
8
missed
times.
8 times, yeah. So, like, half the time she's psychic, and, um, so they're saying she's psychic, and
Yeah, he
then
said in the
we
car when they're talking to her, he's like, "Half a psych is better than no psych at all."
yeah, and they're
Mhm,
on some sort of stakeout right
mhm.
now because 'cause they're in a car looking at a house where he says, a while ago, this family was murdered in there. And it looked like and he's kind of explaining the case details of Longlegs
Mhm.
to her, and he says that, basically it's the dad murders his whole family, then completes suicide or unalives himself, um, and then there's always a note that's left, and they're all signed Longlegs, and it's been 10 houses, 10 families over the past 30 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's been a
Mhm.
long time,
Man.
and, then they're like, she asks how he explains how the mother was killed,
Mhm.
um, and says, like, she was stabbed 60 times, 61, but the knife, like, broke off in her body kinda thing, and
Mhm.
so very graphic details, and then she asked, "Well, how about the kids?" And he was like, "You can read the case files," and he
Yeah.
didn't, like, really divulge that. Um, but then they go into the precinct or whatever it's called for FBI agents. I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, especially, and so then she starts to, get pieces of the case because they give it to her, and she starts to put it all together essentially. And then as she's getting everything on the floor and doing like the whole like they do like, the string and stuff, but not really because it's just on the floor. Um,
Yeah. She's got,
she's
like, a set of numbers laid out, and then she's, like, connecting pictures to the numbers, and she's got some sort of system, but
the dots. Yeah, yeah. She's sulking through it because then even the agent Carter, yeah, Agent Carter, he comes up to her and he's like, there's such a thing as looking too long.
Mhm.
And she basically, oh, she starts to tell him what she came up with, essentially.
Yeah, and we also he had explained to her too that, because she asks at one point, whenever before she starts laying out the pictures, she asks, "What do the families have in common?" And he says, "All
Mm,
the victim families have daughters whose birthday are on the 14th of any given month."
mhm.
And the murders typically occur within not
6.
necessarily on the 14th, but yeah, within 6 days, either on either side,
Mhm,
um, of the 14th. And all the scenes that we flashed earlier during the credits, we just flipped through them one by one with the crime scene photos. So then, like, it was like subliminal kind of messaging that they were doing with flashing these gruesome scenes. And then they actually came back into play and they were the crime
mhm,
scene photos that we would later discover,
mhm.
which I thought was cool.
Yeah. It's a good way to tie it all in. Make it feel kind of like and make it something where, like, we as the audience have, like, kind of already been, like, what's the word? Like, almost, like, brainwashed already with the stuff,
Yeah.
and actually,
Immersed.
um, immersed very much into it. Some of the audio as well, which when I found out, I was kinda like, "Oh, okay," um, is reversed,
Oh, that makes
because they
sense.
wanted it to be, very satanic, and also that they're he also, like, mixed into the audio, like, satanic, like, rituals.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know this makes it like the House of Satan and like stuff look really bad.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, uh, well,
Make
um, but
with, like, the
yeah,
occult and all of that. I mean,
mhm,
I don't know that much about anything about any of that, to be honest. Um,
yeah, me neither. But all
what's
I
the
know
house
is
is the
that
House of Satan different from, like, Satanists? Or
no,
is
I
it
don't
the same
think
thing?
so. I
Was the same
actually
thing?
can't speak to it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
If
it
you
just
are in a in any type of, occult thing, shoot us a message. Enlighten us.
yeah, yeah.
Enlighten us. Let us know.
I
Just
mean,
don't cast any curses on us, please. Watch
yeah,
that not even
please.
be a thing. I'm so sorry if that offends you. Don't cast a curse now on me because now I offended you because about you casting
They're
a curse
like, I don't know
on
curses yet, but I'm finna.
me. Literally.
We're gonna figure it out.
Um,
Um,
but
but
I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it definitely. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
well, then while she's laying out all those and we're getting the flashes of this crime scenes, we're also getting a 911 call from
Mhm.
one of the fathers. And it's basically him saying, like, when she's sleeping, it's the best time to do it when her eyes are closed. And then we hear a struggle ensue. And it's like, well, what? Did we just hear someone get murdered? Like
Yeah.
the 911 operator, you can hear the clear panic in her voice too, where she's
Mhm.
just like, "Sir, so what are you doing?
Yeah, and she
Stay on
keeps
the
telling him
line."
just to stay on the line. Yeah. Um, that's a lot to handle too. People who are on like 911 calls. That's so much.
Yeah,
The
911 because sometimes they really
operators.
gotta like help
Mhm.
people in that moment, like escape or
It's
like
stressful.
hold on to them while they're literally
Dying.
dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I imagine it is a stressful. I mean, I imagine it's typically pretty boring, but then there are like,
Emotional days.
the emotional days exactly.
Um,
But yeah, then they're at the bar.
yes, at the bar having a drink. Even though she doesn't drink, right?
Yeah, she says,
Yeah.
"I don't drink."
Mhm.
She is very reluctant to go with him
Mhm.
like everywhere.
Yeah, she didn't want to. And
And
maybe
she
that
made
had
it
something to do
clear.
with later on was finding out
Yeah.
that she was like basically controlled but not controlled. I don't
Yeah.
even get that part. I had to honestly watch quite a few like explain shit because
Mm,
the movie kind of was just like I got it surface level, but
yeah.
I just felt like I just still had a lot of questions, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
like
so,
how is he
how and
controlling
what and who
and
and where.
what is the brain and like
A lot of the theory too is, or I don't know, I can't remember if it was the fan theory, if it was actually the director who said in an interview, like the smoke really threw me off too. Apparently,
whenever she blows the doll's head
up,
off and the smoke
up,
comes out of the back of her head.
yeah, but I think the smoke coming out of the doll's head, or and even all of that, like is like just like a visual representation for us, and that like in their world and universe that necessarily like they didn't necessarily see like black smoke
Oh,
coming out of it.
but it was
Mhm.
trying to show that they were connected.
Yeah, for us as the audience that like it's connected to like Satan of essentially.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Um, but yeah. Yeah, so we're talking to him, right? And
Mhm.
they're having their drink, and um does important information get divulged other than,
Uh
like, then he's inviting her to, like, his kid's birthday party or something like that?
yeah, so he basically they
Or
say
to
that
go meet the wife and kid?
yeah, but
Mhm.
they basically say that there's no signs of forced entry. It's
Mhm.
almost like he was never there at all. And but somehow he's coercing these people into killing their entire families and then themselves. But there's no
Connection, essentially.
yeah, he just somehow gets in the house and it like if he wouldn't leave the notes, then we would never even know he existed
Mhm.
kind of
And
thing.
because there's not even, like, a, like, direct connection to him and the people, because it's all essentially kind of random other than the fact that the daughter's birthdays is the target, essentially, or the connection, or I don't even know if it's necessarily the target. It's just kind of more like Satan was just like, "Yeah, that works. Like, we'll do it on that around that
Yeah,
time."
it made me
Like,
very thankful that I was on the 6th my birthday's on the 16th and not the 14th. 'Cause, like, I was like, "Damn, now" I would be if my birthday was on the 14th, I would be scared after this movie.
but
I
see,
would be
even
like,
then, like, I
"No."
wonder what is 14 plus 6? That's 20, right?
Mhm.
And then minus 6 would be 8?
Or
The 8th?
oh, 14. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what, like, demonic, like, mnemonic, like, numeric type of correlation would it have, or, like, why the 14th? Because that's also super late. It just seems really specific. Um, but we're, now talking to, or yeah, he's talking to her about all of that, and then he tells her or invites her to go home with him, right? To go meet his wife and kids?
Yes,
Or
and
daughter, not kids, yeah.
yeah, and so they go home, and
Mhm,
this is where I wrote Harker is awkward as fuck.
mhm.
She just it's like she's stiff as a board, and whenever they pull up, she was like, "Do I have to?
Yeah.
Do I
She's very
have
much like a
to?"
kid.
Yeah, and, yeah, it's like she does have some, like,
She's, like,
childlike
stunted.
mannerism, yeah,
Mhm,
and, doesn't, like, know that it's time to be nice and just play face and, like, save face and go in there.
mhm.
But yeah, she's, goes in and his wife is being, nice, and the little girl's like, "Do you wanna come to my room, or do you wanna see my room?" And she just kinda stares at her.
Yeah, yeah. And she does take her to her room, and they're just kind of having a conversation, and it's very, like, the little girl is definitely leading the conversation, and, Harker is just, like, giving her one-word answers,
Mhm.
and then, she get invites her to her birthday that's coming up,
Yep.
and we don't get, like, the date of the birthday, but automatically, we're all like, "Oh, yeah, I wonder what day this birthday is gonna fall on."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
because it
wonder why Carter wasn't more concerned.
right? Like, he didn't even mention it, like, he wasn't ever like,
Yeah, I would have been like, "My daughter's birthday is on the 14th." I would have
"So,
been
I could be a
freaking out.
target." Yeah,
Yeah.
literally,
So, like,
literally.
I personally, because Carter's demeanor was so cool about it, I assumed naturally that her birthday wasn't on the 14th
Okay,
because
no, I thought it was. I immediately was just like, "I know where this is going."
yeah, I mean, I can see like that, but
Uh-huh.
I just like his demeanor and everything around it just didn't it seemed like
You should have been more worried.
yeah.
Most
So it
definitely.
confused me there. Um but then she arrives home after agreeing to go to Miss Ruby's birthday party and she
Mhm.
calls her mom. And immediately I was like, no, something's wrong with mom.
Mom's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially whenever she shows up at her house, I was like, yeah, I don't trust this lady.
Mhm.
Um And so, I mean, essentially she was doing it to protect her child, so I understand. But like at what point do you like at what point is it too much? I don't know.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But
She's on the
and
phone with her, though, and
yeah.
you can already tell she's not all there, and even the conversation between them is just a little bit weird, cryptic
Mhm.
almost, and then, as she's on the phone with her, I think Harker kind of notices something out the window or sees something outside
She hears a
and kinda
voice.
she hears a voice. Is it the cuckoo?
I'm it was more of like a backwards talking
Mm,
voice that she
mhm,
hears. It's not the cuckoo yet. But,
and
and then her mom had just said somebody's birthday is coming up, and then she hears the voice.
yeah. And there's I really this movie I wish was streaming as opposed to, like, buy, because there's so many things where I wish I could go and, like, rewatch back actually. I feel like
Mm,
there's so many little things that they did, because I think in this moment too, there's a moment where, like, looking over her shoulder, because there's a moment where she's, like, doing whatever she's doing at the desk, and you kind of and then the mom calls and it's, like, framed with
yeah,
her over.
I stared at the back door the whole time
Yeah, I think
because I was just waiting for somebody to walk by.
there is a shadow of, like, the devil there, like, as it appears one of the, like, as many as, like, the other times in the movie.
Mm,
Like, you know which one I'm talking about? Like,
no.
the devil, like, the
I
the
mean,
shadow that appears in the movie, like, later on, you see it behind her as a little girl.
oh, no, I didn't notice that.
Oh,
I
it
must have
comes
been
o
taking a note.
it comes on a lot
The
throughout the
only
movie, like,
imagery I
they're
noticed was the square, like, because
no,
there
they're
were
very good when
other
you miss it.
frames that had the square in it too. Like,
Mhm.
not, like, literally frame, but there was a lot of squares in the frame too, and that was the only, like, imagery I noticed. Um oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like,
must have been
that
taking a note then, because
that
I
that guy popped up a lot because 'cause I'm pretty sure it popped up at that moment too,
oh,
when
I
she
didn't
was,
notice it. I stared at the background
"Ah,
behind her almost the whole time.
Kitakata."
Okay. Yeah, when sh so sh this is when
When
she's in
she's
her
looking through
mom's
the
house?
I think maybe
'Cause that's
I
not
just
her
think.
house. Her house was covered in wood and had, like, wood in everything,
Mhm.
but I think that's the mom's house
Some
with the
moms.
White House, yeah. Well, I have it again, so maybe I'll watch it again. I have it
Yeah.
for the next 30 hours or whatever it is. But she goes to investigate because she sees or hears somebody, and then she eventually makes it to the window and sees someone standing outside.
Mhm.
So then she just naturally rushes outside,
As one does.
which I was like, "Girl, I know you've got a gun, but still, like, you don't know there could be multiple people. You never
Yeah.
know." Like, I would stay and behind my doors where it's locked and safe, because she also leaves the door open when she does
Mhm.
this. And then she's rushing outside, looking around in the direction of where the figure was, sees nothing, but then looks back and she sees somebody walking through her house.
Yeah. So then she naturally goes and runs back to inside the house
Yeah.
to where the danger is. And whenever she gets back inside, nobody's there. But she does find a letter on her desk.
Yes. And it says, "Do not open till January 14th."
Mhm.
But
But
she
she opens
opens
it
it
anyways.
anyways.
Yeah. Mhm. Do you think that would have made any difference? Or if she
Uh,
would till January 14th, I guess?
I guess it would have completed
Or if they
all
would
of
have.
the murders that it like the 13th murder and stuff,
Mhm.
and it would have not ended resulted in him getting captured and stuff, I think.
Mhm.
I mean, I think she maybe would have still found him, but, like, it would have been pretty idiotic to wait.
Wait, did I miss that? Was he like was his goal 13 murders?
Well, remember he had killed on every day except the 13th, and so he needed to kill on the 13th to complete his algorithm.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, because it, like, made something of, like, something when she put
A
all the murders
triangle,
together, it made it yeah.
an inverted triangle.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
yeah,
Okay.
um, but we also get the flash of part 2, and
Part
then
2.
all of your things is what it says.
Mhm.
Um, but we find out that this note, she opens it, like we said, it's a
Mhm.
note from Longlegs, and it's a ninth birthday card.
Mhm.
And the ink is it's literally so fresh, the ink is still wet, which I
Mhm.
don't understand how it didn't get smeared in the envelope, but I'll let it pass.
It's a movie.
It is. And
Yeah.
she decodes it, and she uses a Bible and is able to figure out like what the coded message is, because none of them have been able to really figure out the code yet
Mhm.
of his letters. Um, but it says something about like something about as white as your like mother's tit, and I'll bleed it dry.
Rip it off. Yeah, something
Yeah.
about killing your mom, essentially.
Yeah. And the word tit was in it.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I just remember that. And
mhm.
so yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah, very much
And
so. Very much it's kind of like a warning. It's like, "If you keep looking for me, I'm gonna kill your mom," essentially.
yeah,
Um,
and ultimately he does,
and,
just at her hand.
mhm.
Spoiler alert.
But, she ends up meeting back with, um after deciphering all the shit, she ends up meeting back with Agent Harker, right? Because another family gets murdered or
Yeah,
something?
so she had missed a call from her mom earlier while she was opening the envelope,
Mhm.
and so then she gets another phone call, and it says she's like, "Yes, mom, I'm fine." And then they're like, "Agent Harker, we need you here right now." Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. So she goes up, she meets up with Carter again. Um and then sh- they are at another crime scene, and they
Mhm.
find a family that's been murdered. And a month like these bodies have been dead a month long, basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this part, I remember. Oh, it's pretty gruesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in there, they're taking a look at everything, and the movie actually shows you, like, their bodies when you pull the pull the covers back, and
Yeah, and it was
it, like
pretty gnarly. They like maggots and stuff.
Pretty worse for wear, I'd say.
Yeah, not she's not ready for a close up. Um, but she got one. But
Yeah.
then they are discussing the age of the little girl too,
Mhm.
and they say that she was either 9 or 10. So I think there's also a commonality there between the daughters being around the age of 9 or 10,
Mhm. Yeah, that makes
which
sense 'cause
again
beginning.
doesn't seem like a satanic number. So,
No. And maybe it's just, like, the loss of innocence, in that in itself.
mm,
Um, and they end up she ends up putting clues together because she's after deciphering the whole shit, she's, like, putting together, like, "Oh, this means this and this means that, and this is why." I can't remember. What you just watched it. I was like, "It's been, like, 2 weeks." Um, um,
is she
and
like
he's like, "Why do you how do you know that?" Or something like that,
yeah,
right?
she
Uh,
decodes the message and it
mhm.
said like something for so long or something,
Yeah.
so long for now or something like that. And then he was like, "How did you do that?" Basically. And she
Mhm.
was like, "I looked long enough," is
Yeah.
what she said. And then also, sorry, the cat was in the carrier and the cat was like,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "Has the cat been locked up?" Because they were about to go on a trip. I was
Yeah.
like, "Has the cat been locked up for a whole month and it's still alive?"
Oh, poor thing.
Poor thing. And
Maybe. I don't know.
like,
Or
I
maybe
don't
it
know.
had or maybe they had just put it in the carrier,
Oh yeah,
like
maybe
the cop
to keep
people.
it away
Like,
from the bodies and stuff.
maybe it had been eating their
I
faces.
Yeah, maybe that's why they look so gross.
I hope so.
Um,
I mean, it's gotta eat.
it does.
Mhm.
But yeah, then she goes down and she calls her mom on a payphone. And
Mhm.
every time her mom answers, she's always like, "Lee." And
Mhm.
because she'll say, "Hi, mom." And then she's like, "Lee." And she goes, "Yep, still your only daughter." And
Yeah.
that was like another clue to me that I was like, something's weird.
Mhm.
Um, and then she is like, she asks her yet again, like, or asks her for the first time, I think, like, "Are you still saying your prayers?"
Mhm.
And she says, "Our prayers protect us from the devil." And then we start flashing to her doing some like recon and looking
Mhm.
through some of the old headlines and stuff. And like, we're seeing the devil made him do it. And like all of these,
Yeah, stuff that's related into that shit.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then while she's figuring it out, she's like writing down all the dates and stuff and like writing them out in sequential order and
Mhm.
things like that. And she's essentially figuring out the algorithm, we later find out. But the music here reminded me of Queen of the Damned with the like
Mm.
dissonant violins and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, really reminded me of Queen of the Damned. But
The
yeah,
music is by Zilgi.
Zilgi.
Yeah, which I am like, "What?" Let me look that
Zilge.
up. Oh, okay. It's actually a person named Elvis Perkins. I guess that's like
Elvis
a stage name
Perkins.
or something like that.
Hmm,
Silky? I don't know what that is. But anyways,
I
folk
liked
rock,
it.
very folk rock. Yeah, is what the thing is giving.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But she then finds the algorithm. She
Mhm,
just conveniently has a book that has this inverted triangle in it. And she then draws the inverted triangle and then she goes and drops it on Carter's desk and is
mhm.
like,
Bam!
"Here you go." And he's like,
Face off,
"What the
bitch.
fuck?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Please enlighten me. I have no clue what the fuck is happening here."
Mhm. And she's basically laying it all down for him and telling him about, like, the algorithm and how she feels like he has to kill on the 13th, right? Next?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The only date that was missing was the 13th. So,
And is this where she starts to get together, where she follows the clue to get to the doll at the barn?
yes.
Mhm,
So all of the notes, she decoded all of them,
mhm.
and all of the notes kept mentioning a fine time at the Camera family farm.
Yes, yeah.
And
Fine time or
so
fun time?
fun, maybe it was fun.
Fun time, okay.
I just I think I had some
Your note
typos.
overcorrected? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But at the camera farm, yeah. And then they go
They're
to the camera farm. Yeah,
yeah.
they go to it, and that's where they go into the barn.
Yep, and they get to the, door, and she goes, "X marks the spot," because she had also mentioned with the, like, fun time at the family farm, she was
Mhm,
also there's something that said X marks the spot. And the barn doors had giant X's on them. And so, um, they are going and exploring. They go upstairs in the barn, and then I was really confused because it looked like sunshine shining through the window, but it was dark outside.
mhm.
So I was like, did they stay there all day into the morning time? Like maybe they went like right at the brink of dawn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
But
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I was
then the
like,
sun came up.
that's confusing.
Maybe it's
Um
just a continuity error?
Continuity.
Thank you. Or it
Yeah.
could just be like, um, maybe
Cuz
it's 'cause the
it
devil.
looked like it was either dusk or dawn.
Mhm.
Like it was like dark, but like there was sunshine. It still was like that twilight era. And
Yeah.
so it could have been the sun was rising,
Mhm.
and we just have kind of lost sense of time. Um,
Maybe.
so, but anyways, they go upstairs in the barn, and what do
Mhm.
they find?
They find a little weird doll girl in a little secret compartment in the floor,
Underneath
essentially.
a big cross.
Mhm. Um, I really trying hard to remember how, like, she just walked up to it, right? And then was like, "That's it."
Yeah,
Or was there something, was it under something other than the
yeah.
cross?
So there was some hay on top of it,
Yeah,
but
okay.
like
It had to
they
move.
had to clear the hay away. And then Carter was like looking at it, and he kind of like knocks on it and hears that it's hollow.
Mhm,
Um, or like that there's something beneath the floorboards, and picks up the cross, gets it up, and then lifts the other floorboard. And then, yeah, then they find the box that this doll is in.
mhm. And they open it up, and the doll is like, she looks like the doll from Squid Games.
Oh, the red light, green light doll?
Yeah, 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 that's what I was kinda thinking of.
Mm.
Like, but because it's not like, is it a porcelain doll? Is it
It is a porcelain doll. They
a
say
porcelain
later
doll?
that it's porcelain with a bleached cotton body, or and then it has human hair on what's
Mhm.
left of it.
Yeah.
But,
What
and it's life size. It's like life size Barbie was. It was the same size as her.
Yeah, which is creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
I'm
and it
trying to
was,
find a
like,
picture of
in the
them.
fetal
There it
position
is.
in this, like in this box, and
Yeah.
then they
They
pull it
look
up.
almost like they made it or out of wax.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
but he pulls it up, and then the little eyes go, "Bing," and they
Mhm.
open up, and, um, as most baby dolls do, whenever you sit them up, their eyes open, but when you lay them down, their eyes close, so that way you can pretend they're asleep and stuff like that.
That's terrifying, Caitlin.
Yep, I mean, that's how baby dolls' eyeballs work. I remember all my dolls as a kid having eyeballs like that.
Really?
Mhm.
I would get in their eyeballs. Wow, no wonder I've always wanted to gouge eyes. I would get their eyeballs and I would like break their like eyelids like off and like get in there and like,
Mm,
I don't know.
get their little marbles out.
Yeah, literally. Um,
Um,
and
but
so, but yes, they
then
find, and then what happens, Caitlin?
well, they also find a silver ball that's
Mm,
inside of the skull area, and it's what I I don't know what to call him. I
coroner,
mean,
the
yeah, he's like a
doll coroner.
doll coroner though. And
Yeah.
so, but he was like, I've been calling it the brain because it was inside the
The head.
head. And
Mhm.
then he's
Which makes
like,
sense.
but wait, that's not all. And then he holds a little something to it,
Mhm.
and it makes these like weird sounds
Yeah.
that he says later on. It sounded like it was saying my ex-wife's name all last night, but then he was like, but it wasn't. Like,
I was just working late.
yeah,
Yeah. But obviously we find out later that it probably was saying his ex-wife's name and just fucking with him.
yeah, because this ball is what contains Longlegs' essence, I
Mhm.
guess, and the little piece of him that is with everyone.
Which is it? Or is it the devil? Or is it like and also the human hair? Is it Longlegs' hair? Is that how he's like also putting his essence into everybody? Or is it like is he
Yeah, possibly.
killing little girls and using the girls' hair that were from the previous murder
I mean,
into the
I'm
doll? Like,
assuming they had extensions and stuff back then too. So maybe you could just buy real human hair and maybe he was just
oh.
buying it.
Also her mom was a nurse, right? At
Yeah.
one point, maybe like she was like, were these her patients? And that's how
Yeah,
she found out
maybe.
their birthdays?
Could be.
And she was chopping off their hair at their appointments?
Maybe.
Just kidding. Um, and so, you know what really terrified me the most out of all of everything? It's
Hmm.
the 1 or 2 times that, like, the phallic made an appearance in the movie. Did you catch the moments where the nun, like, the silhouette of the nun with, like, the glowing, like, red eyes?
No, apparently I missed all of this demonic imagery.
Or maybe I only saw it. Wait a minute. Yeah.
I took like a lot of notes. I was very thorough. Oh, that. Yeah, with the doll when it was covered up.
But yeah, but is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah,
The
it's the doll
doll?
cuz
Ah.
he calls the doll Carrie Ann,
Mhm.
and while she's standing there, and then he covers her up with that shawl, that little sheath
Yeah.
looking thing. And
Sorry, I'm, like, all, like, blocking. Okay, got it.
and then later on, like, she's sitting there, and because if you remember at one point, Carrie Ann at the end, like, whenever her mom's explaining, like, how she had to go to the house and stuff, and go to Carrie Ann's farm, she we see Carrie Ann unveil the doll.
Mhm.
So, I
Mhm.
think they came packaged with that black shawl over
Fell
them.
over, so that's what
Yeah.
that is. Anyways, that freaked me out a
But,
lot.
yeah, then their little eyeballs were glowing, so, um, yeah, that was creepy. But
Creepy.
yeah, so then basically he is talking to Carrie Ann, the doll, and, then goes then we flash to him going into this convenience store, basically.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Excuse me. Yeah, going to the
and
convenience store and being weird as heck, and
yeah,
thankfully, even the clerk girl is, like, not having it.
no, she wasn't. She was like, "I don't know what that was," but
Dad, that weird guy is back again.
yeah, and because he was doing the cuckoo sound, and he was like, "Yeah, cuckoo, cuckoo."
Cuckoo, cuckoo,
It was
cuckoo,
fucking weird.
cuckoo, cuckoo. I'm gonna start doing that to people. Cuckoo,
And then it's
cuckoo.
like a new version of this
Yeah. Wait,
or
what is that?
this, sorry,
What
from
is that?
Pan's Labyrinth,
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth, yeah. But
the
what is
little
this?
eye.
Wait, what did you just do?
This is like a funny face you can make.
Oh,
I just got it
what?
mixed up in my it's like a funny face like
Why
I
did you just
used
do
to
your
make as a
fingers?
kid. You just do that and then right.
I can't even bend that way. Hold up. The chair.
What just
It's because
happened?
the chair swivels. Hold up. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
It went. Hold up. Am I doing it wrong?
No, that's right. I'm Batman.
Okay,
Where
alright.
are the other drugs going? You remember that like Comedy Central sketch or whatever? When it was like it's Batman
What
and he's
was I
trying to
didn't
find
hear what
his
you said.
oh, I said, "Where are the other drugs going?" And it's like Batman
I
trying to
definitely don't know
find
that one.
his he's trying to find his voice and to like and so he's like, "Where" he's like doing all these funny voices, but that was my
Where are the
favorite
drugs
one.
going? Where
Yeah.
are the drugs going? That's
And then
funny.
he's like British and he's like, "Where are the other drugs going?" And
That's
then
funny.
he finally settles on, "Where are the other drugs going?" Like deep gravelly voice like he speaks in. But
Yeah.
it was funny.
Okay.
Anyways, Batman. Um I don't know if it was Comedy Central or not. I forget who did that sketch. But
Uh-huh.
anyways, sorry. Let us know if you know. But they are figuring out he does the cuckoo again, then he's driving home. Oh, he asks her what her birthday is, and that's when she's like, "Dad, that weird guy's back." And so he's driving home and then he's like yelling, "Daddy, mommy, unmake me," like kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's super weird and like very, I don't know, like visceral. Like it was,
They were lyrics, I'm assuming, right?
yeah, I think they were probably from T-Rex again.
I feel like he's like that, like, where, like, he only knows how to express himself, like, through the lyric of music, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Even later when he's, like where we get that moment when he's like, "If you make me leave now, I won't come back, not like, whatever, whatever, whatever." I feel like those are probably, like, song lyrics too,
Yeah, I think they
and
were.
yeah, and that's just, like, the way that he, like, basically uses them to fit and mold into whatever he needs to express and say.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely some weird ass songs he's picking.
Yeah, it is. And but then after they find the doll and after he's drove home from,
Mhm.
oh, and we get to see this car, and in the car there's this like weird emblem hanging from the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Um and we see this car again later. Um but they go to visit Carrie Ann in the hospital, the psychiatric hospital.
Yes.
And they are like, somebody came to visit her yesterday. And all of a sudden, she just came out of her trance and she was like talking and her eyes lit up. And they were like, let us look at the log. Let's see who came to visit her. And lo and behold,
Nobody they didn't log it in, and nobody checked the ID badge,
well, they did
and
log it in. It said Lee
oh.
Harker's name.
Oh, that's right, my bad, my bad, my bad.
But
But they
yeah,
didn't
nobody checked the ID to like double check that this was actually Lee Harker.
yeah, and even the dude
So,
was like, "Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea if we did that," or something like
yeah,
that, but
and I was
no, we
like,
don't.
sir, do you have any responsibility being over a psychiatric hospital?" It seems not, because he was
No.
so, like like,
Well, that's how
flamboyant
many
with
well,
his
that's how many
language and stuff too,
Mhm.
and, like, just, like, over the top and, like, acting like, I don't know, so weird with how he was saying, like, "Oh, she just lit up," and
Yeah.
everything, and I was just like, shouldn't you be a little more professional?"
More concerned about that, but maybe he
Yeah.
wasn't. Maybe he's just collecting a check.
Yeah, it seems like he was. Um,
And,
but y
they go to talk to her, Miss, what's her name? Sabrina. Kiernan Shipka.
yes. And so
She does a
Carrie
really
Ann
good
is her.
job.
Yeah, she does. She's talking real weird like.
Mhm.
Um, but she just
Is
keeps, like, saying all this stuff, like, and being
yeah, like,
happy as peaches.
Happy's Peaches, and as he asked me to go and jump off some mountains, I might as well do it. I'd be as happy as a clam to do it and do as he's asked, because 'cause I'd do anything as he asked me to do as I'd ask it and do if I do it. That's how she's talking.
Yeah, she did. And
Yeah.
then she was like, "If he asked me to kill you right now with my own bare hands, I'd do it, happy as peaches."
Can't
And
ask him to do it twice. It's
poor
even there.
poor Harker's just sitting there like, what?"
Got it, yeah. And,
Yeah.
Lee's just kinda, egging her on more, kinda getting it out of her. And she's not telling them who came to visit her, right? She
Yeah,
doesn't say it
she's not
specifically.
saying. She just says, "If he I'm just so glad he did come to visit
Yeah.
me."
Oh, did
Um,
she mention the man downstairs?
she does mention the man
Yeah.
downstairs. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
She mentions that, and then Lee finally Harker is kinda like, "Do you remember having a doll?" She kinda breaks and gets right to the point, and
Yeah.
she was like, "One that looks just like you," and then she goes, "Nope, and you don't remember neither." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah. And then yeah, because it starts to
interesting."
kinda point it but then and because then even she starts to say Carrie Ann is like, "You know what? You look familiar. You been to my house?" And she's like, "No, I don't think we've ever met." And she's like, "Well, if you haven't been to my house, someone who looks an awful lot like you has been to my house."
Yeah. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
then
Excuse me.
that I mean, later on, you can figure out why she
Poop,
says
poop,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But,
so take it away.
basically, they're kind of questioning Harker, and then they're like they mentioned that, oh, Carter is questioning Harker, and
Mhm.
he says, like, "Do you not remember anything?" And she's like, "No." And he was like, "Well, your mom called in a police report January 13th, 1974." And she was like, "What?" Like, because she was confused, and he was said it was because there was a stranger, or she called in a police report against somebody like coming onto her property.
An intruder, yeah.
Yeah, an intruder. And she was like, "Huh."
And it was the
And
day before your ninth birthday.
yeah, he was like, That makes your birthday the 14th." Um,
Why didn't you tell me that your birthday was on the 14th and that he visited you?
And why didn't you bring up that your daughter's birthday is the 14th, sir?
Literally what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. But he then tasks her to go see her mother and ask her about the man that she saw.
Hmm.
And then this is where, if you didn't already put it together, this is where you can really confirm that she was the little girl from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because when she walks in the door, it's the same door that
How?
you see her putting her scarf on in front of before she goes out the door to go talk to the stranger.
Hmm.
Um, and so she gets there, and she sees her mom, and her mom asks her again if she said her prayers, and she says no, she never said them, and
Yeah. Not
because they
once.
scared her.
Yeah. And then
I
her
wonder if
mom
her mom was
laughed.
like making her like pray to the devil or something.
I don't know. Or maybe even in
Probably
a.
not. I think she was trying to
I don't think
shelter
so.
her, but
I think it was more or less not even that. I think it was just like because well, I don't even know what it is to be honest. I can't because why would you? Because even the mom literally just says after that she's like, "I've never said them." She like laughs and is a little cuckoo, and then is like, You're right. They never help us anyways. God can't help us."
yeah,
You know.
she
So
says prayers don't do a goddamn thing.
yeah.
And this is where I was like, her mom is fucking weird. Like,
Even her eyes,
I
the actress who
do
played
not
her like
trust her.
really did a good job of
Oh,
playing
yeah, no, the
someone
actress did a
really like
phenomenal
shifty.
job. Yeah, playing this,
But
like, very and I guess her mom was a hoarder
yeah,
too, because the house was, like, stacked with, like, just stuff, like,
her
even
mom
on the
had a
couch
lot of
behind
demons.
her. Yeah, and so I was just like, clearly this mom's not, like, mentally stable
Yeah.
in some
Well, probably
capacity,
always from the get, you know what I mean?
or if
Sorry.
not, she like, all of this has, like, fucked her up.
Well, I mean, I remember. Don't you remember? Even in the beginning, though, she like was like, nobody ever visited us, not once, not ever. It was just me and you.
Well, I
And
think she
then
was saying that to convince,
her
what's her
daughter.
Harker, yeah, that no one ever came, and to not,
Mm.
like, question it any further.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that would make sense too, and go along with it. It just kind of gave to me too that like her mom was essentially kind of already off, and that's why it
Yeah.
was so easy, for then him to just kind of like manipulate her as well, and also for her to go along with this for like fucking 30 years,
Yeah, I
because
mean, I
like,
guess it all
if,
depends on, like, what you would do for your child.
yeah, But then even at that point where it's Lee is no longer a child. Lee's got to be like 28 now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just kind of like at that point, I don't know. Even though at the end she was saying that like, well, I was doing it so that way we don't burn or whatever. Or he
And
said
twist
you,
in hell.
yeah, but it's kind of like, aren't you already going to if
You just killed all these
you
people.
killed all these people? Like, I
But
don't know.
maybe she believes that they'll have a special place in hell.
Yeah, like it's striking a deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Or you
yeah,
just
we
get
get
to chill in a hot tub
that's all.
that
Uh
boils your skin off.
yeah,
Did I
there
ever
isn't
tell you that I believed, like, for some reason when I was a kid, I was convinced that heaven and hell were very much the same. But, like, in heaven, if you wished for a box of chocolates, you would get it. But in hell,
I
if you
think you
wish for
told
a
me
box
this.
of
Yeah.
chocolates, you would have nails in it,
Yeah. It's
like,
basically
or
you would just
spiky things. Like,
not get what you want.
yeah, or like it would be in some way to torture you.
Mm, mhm. But
Pretty
you're still happy
elementary.
or
Well, I
like
don't know. I mean, just basically, I think it would wear down your spirit enough,
mhm, mhm.
like, because and I'm assuming somebody explained it to me this way. Otherwise,
Probably.
like, where would I have gotten this idea from?
Yeah.
But that
Some
must have been,
old
like,
dumb
the
bitch at
best
church told you
way
that.
that they could, like, make me understand the difference between heaven and hell.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pretty weird. So maybe they just got to sit and eat their nail chocolate.
I wish that I could go back in your body at whatever age that was, at like 7 or 6, and just tell that old church lady to fuck off,
Yeah.
bitch,
Fuck off, bitch.
with your traumatizing generational beliefs that are gonna make me fucked up for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're she's talking to her mom, right? She's back with her mom.
Yeah. And
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And all of that, and just, the whole like saying the prayers and whatnot.
yeah, and then we she's cooking dinner for her mom
Hmm.
and or food for her mom,
Yeah.
and then she kind of approaches this door and she starts to go into a flashback to when she was a little kid, and we're back in that square again that we were
Hmm.
in the beginning. And sorry, Goopy's like destroying the couch behind me. um I was like, what is going on? um but she, like, sees someone pull up to the house, and then she goes back because then her mother calls her, and it pulls
Hmm.
us out of
The flashback.
the flashback, and she says, like, something about, for some reason her mom says, "What a day that was. I bled, bled, bled."
Oh, it's about the birth, about her birth.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Do you remember my ninth birthday?" And she was like, "I don't remember much at all." And then she says, "What happened that day?" And her mom goes, "No."
Yeah.
And then later goes on to say, "No one ever came to visit us. Not no one, not the not like big bad wolves, not anybody."
Yeah. Very
And
much
then
trying to solidify like nothing happened.
yeah, exactly. And then this is where we get the line that says where she says, "You're not a child because you are allowed to grow up." Because Harker said, like, "I'm not a kid anymore, mom." And she was
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, you're not a child anymore because you were allowed to grow up." And I was like, "What does that mean?"
Hmm. And so that's whenever I think Ruth then like shows her the photo, right? Or shows her her stuff from her kid stuff. And that's when Lee finds the photo, the Polaroid that she took of.
Yeah, because she says, "All of your things," which is the title of this part two,
Hmm.
"it's all in your room." And she finds something in the pictures. We don't see what it is, but she, like, has a physical, like, she recoils and, like, jumps
Hmm.
back from this photo. And we never really get to see it, but you can assume that it was a photo of Longlegs because then um oh, and then this is she flashes back in this moment, and this is where we get your favorite part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Whenever the mom is talking to him and she's like, "Excuse me, like, what are you doing talking to my daughter?" And then he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like, I'm just here for the birthday girl." Or he said he was making a delivery or something like that, right? Or he
Yeah, he
was
says, "Congratulations, you've
mhm,
won
mhm. And
a
then,
gift from the church."
but then is
Church of
this when the mom
Satan.
yeah, and then is this when the mom is like, "No, I think you should go." And then he's like, "If you make me leave, I'm gonna come back." But in song.
Yes,
Mhm.
and he sings his weird song to let him come back as many times as he likes.
Not once, not twice, but as many times as I like. Yeah.
Exactly. And he looks so fucking creepy when he
I
does
think
this.
Nicolas Cage honestly just wanted to make this movie so he could sing.
Yeah. Because most of his lines were singing.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Suki,
so
stop. Suki's digging. I don't know if you can see her in the back corner up here.
they can't.
She's on that wooden thing to
Uh-huh.
the
Oh
now
yeah.
she's moved off screen, but she's just sitting there digging on it.
Aw. She's a
She's
baby.
right there.
Yeah, I kind of see her a little bit now.
Yeah, it's just her little butt.
Kitties are
But
so cute.
she's insane. She loves to dig.
Yeah. She tearing
And
everything up.
she digs on wood all the time, and I'm like, "You
Does it
can't."
leave her little scratch marks on it?
No, thankfully.
Oh, okay. That's
But
good.
yeah. Um,
Hey, question. Do you take them? Do you get their claws like trimmed at all, or do you trim them?
n sometimes I've trimmed them before, but I haven't in a long time, in, like, over a year.
Oh, okay. So I'm sure they're
But they
sharp.
have the corrugated cardboard that kind of, like, helps trim their claws and stuff too, or it
Mm.
helps sharpen their claws, I guess.
Mm. Millie has really long claws, like really long claws. Like even if she barely like kind of, and I know she's not meaning to, but if she barely like kind of like makes a biscuit on me, it like cuts me up.
Cuts you up. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Suki's claws are kinda like that too.
Oh,
Well,
okay. I
I
didn't know if that was
only
normal
notice
or
it
not.
on Suki because Suki's clumsy. So Suki will, like, climb on me, and then she'll be like,
Yeah,
and, like,
and
fall
then
all
dig
over the
into you.
place, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
But, she only does it when she's in little baby mode, when she wants forehead kisses, and she's trying to be sweet, but she, like,
Mhm.
can't walk when she's in little baby mode.
Yeah.
She, like, legit reverts to a baby and is like,
No.
"Blah, blah, blah." She's silly. But then this is where she's like she hands the photo sorry, back to the movie, hands a photo back to Carter, and she was like, "This is him." And, he was like, "You really wanna put a manhunt out over this photo?" And she's like, "Yep," because
That's
she
it.
knows in
'Cause
her
she's
heart
half
of hearts.
psychic.
Yep. And, so they put, the APB out or whatever it's called, and, uh, they go and they arrest him on the side of the road. He's got 2 briefcases we later find are full of notebooks.
Yeah. Also, I didn't get that. Like he meant to be found, right? Like he wanted it
Yeah, I think so.
just so he could also he unalived himself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was final or not. Like I didn't
Yes,
know
it
if he was
was.
just okay. Um a lot of smashing of the heads, it feels
I
like
know.
recently, to be
I
honest.
know. I was like, "God
Um
damn it, this movie too."
yeah, first two movies of the year. Woo!
I know,
And
starting off
so
with some of my favorite stuff.
And anyways, so sorry, jumping ahead, but yes, they find him on the side of the road. He just very easily just is just waiting there, like he was waiting to be picked up by them, which he was.
Yep.
And they bring him in for questioning, and um, we have him in, the holding room where they do their thing, interrogating room,
Yep, and
and
they're
he
watching a video of
of
it.
it all, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where he claims to serve the man downstairs,
Mhm.
and but is this where they start asking him, like, "Who's helping you?" Right? "Is someone helping you?" Because he kind of
Uh,
alludes to, like
they don't ask him yet because she asks him that because she's the one
mm,
who comes to the conclusion that he isn't alone. But
yeah,
he, like, is just being weird, and he's like, "When do I get to see Lee Harker, the herald angel sing?" kind of
Mhm.
thing. And then he starts singing happy birthday to her. And then they pause the tape because they were like, that's fucking weird. Um, and they're like, it goes on for 24 more minutes. And then
Mhm.
Harker is like, Longlegs isn't alone. Um, and she's like, it could be someone who's like a child or someone who could pass as a child that like they let them into their home.
Mhm.
Um, and then she's convinced that his accomplice will kill one more family.
Mhm.
But
Convinced she
yeah,
is, and good for good reason. And then as all of that's going on, I think this is when they find out that Carrie Ann killed herself.
yes. Yeah, they find out I think after he kills himself.
Oh, okay.
Um, or like that's when Lee knows.
Gotcha.
But they let her go in alone, and it says a friend of Mr. Downstairs again as well. My notes wrote that in. So I think he mentions it in the video and he's like, a friend of Mr. Downstairs. And um, but they let her go in alone, which I thought was weird to interrogate him. But I guess
Mhm.
I mean, they had eyes on her, so it was fine. But I was like, it's kind of creepy, like letting her go in alone when he's been asking for her.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of like Silence of the Lambs
I was about
a
to
bit.
say this gives very much there's a lot of
Clarice.
this movie that kind of remind me and beckon back, probably paying homage to that movie as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but they let her go in and starts saying stuff like the seventh she and like because she starts asking who's your accomplice and he says the seventh she and then he says that it's work that gets dirty as it cleans like a mop like a rag,
Mhm.
singing again. um and then he says, oh but Lee, your house was so white when I came to visit. And
Mhm.
it was like, and then he was like, and the eighth house or something was white too. And he was like, it was more white than Carrie Ann's farmhouse. Like he's just going on about how white their houses were.
Yeah. And essentially confessing in time to himself to all of these murders.
Yep.
Mhm. And as she's going in more through it with him, that's whenever he's kind of becoming more unhinged, right?
Yeah. Cause then she's
Mhm.
like, give it up, you're done. And he says, yes, I am done, but I won't only be in here. Cause she was like, give it up, you're done, you're in here. And
Mhm.
he says, I'll be a little bit of everywhere, waiting in the wings, in the father's wings. And then she she asks him something and he goes, um, why don't you ask your mommy?
Mhm.
And then he says, hell Satan.
And just starts
Dunk,
bashing his head on the table.
dunk.
Pretty abruptly, pretty, gnarly, and it's pretty graphic,
Yeah,
and unfortunately for those who are head squishing squeamish,
like
um,
I.
and yeah, just kills
I'm
himself
just
in front of
thankful that no
her.
chunk of his face like fell away,
Yeah.
like in Smile 2 last week or 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago. That was rough for me.
It's not a good time for you.
Yeah, that literally made me gag. This one I handled it a little bit better. Um, but yeah, smashes his face in, and then we get part 3, birthday girls.
Mhm.
And then this is where Carter's like, Carrie Ann jumped off the roof on the 13th. So he must have told her to do it when he went and saw her. Like, so that is your 13th murder. Um,
Mhm.
but little does she know and Carter know that that was not the 13th murder.
Yeah.
Or I think it'll be, I believe it's Miss Ruby and her
Mhm.
family, Carter's family, that is the murder that happens on the 13th.
Yeah.
Um, but they're driving back now to go collect her mother to bring her in for questioning to see
Mhm.
if she can help answer like who this accomplice is.
To connect the dots, and it's, Agent Browning, who's been, kind of helping this whole time, and she's taking Lee to, and she's really like awesome too, because Lee's like, "Thank you for bringing me like here," and she's like, "Yeah, like of course, especially after seeing all of that, like you shouldn't be alone right now."
Yeah, you
Um,
shouldn't be driving and stuff
mhm,
like that. So,
yeah.
yeah, she was just legitimately concerned for her, which makes this next part so sad
Yeah, because as they get home and Lee goes inside, Harker goes inside to go try to find her mom. We,
because she
s-
says she'll go alone,
yeah, um, we see that while she's looking for her mom inside the house, uh,
which
Ruth
the door
is,
was open.
yeah, yeah, the door was open,
And so she just walks right in. But yeah, then we flash back to the car.
and Ruth is in the windshield, the rear windshield, so we can see her, but Detective Agent Browning can't see her. And then at the same time that's all happening, Lee's still inside, so obviously she don't know what's going on. And then unfortunately, her mom just blows the brains out of the agent.
Yeah,
Just
with
right there in the
her
car.
shotgun. And
Yeah. Uh-huh.
then she hears the gunshots. So Harker runs outside
To the window
and,
first to
oh,
see.
yeah, to
Like,
the
she looks through the
window.
window and she sees her mom going for the double tap,
Yeah,
and
on the
then
other side.
that's when she goes outside and, like, runs after her, and she's like, "What the fuck?" But her mom isn't there. Her mom's already taken off, and, that's whenever she goes to get no, she goes back inside, right? And that's whenever she goes downstairs?
Yeah,
Or am I
no,
getting ahead of myself? Does she
yeah,
get in the car?
she runs, over around the house, finds her mom, and she's sitting there standing with the gun pointed at
Duh.
the doll,
Yeah, yeah.
her doll.
Mhm.
And, she looks back at her, she says, "You caught him now. Now he's free." And she goes, "And you're free too, baby girl," and shoots the doll's head off. And then that's where we see the smoke, like, poof, out
Mhm.
of the back of Lee's head and
Mhm.
also coming off of the doll. And then Lee collapses, and then we're back in that white, now a white box rather than a red box.
Yeah. And
And
then go ahead.
Lee wakes with the White House is in there. Um and then we start getting an explanation. We get Lee as a child laying with her mother.
Oh, yeah. And they're in the
And
bed.
yeah, and she says, "Once upon a time there was a girl named Lee, and she lived with her mother, and no one ever came to visit them. But one day a man did come, a doll maker. The doll maker started his work, and with that, a little bit of him in every one." This is paraphrased.
Mhm.
But the doll made the girl forget. So her mother begged for the little girl's life to be spared in exchange. So she would have to help them. In exchange, she would have to help him. Now her work would be murdering families from his hiding place in the something. The devil did the rest in the dolls. Sorry.
Mhm.
It autocorrected to Phil's. And I was like, that can't be right. um, and basically she had to watch to make sure it happened the way that he wanted it to. That was
Yep.
the deal she made. So essentially she made a
She's doing
deal
all
with
of
the
the
devil.
dirty work. Yeah.
Yeah, she is the mop that she's cleaning her soul essentially, but like the dirty work that, like, where you have to work to get clean, and but you get dirty in the process. And so she was the mop, she was the rag. um
Mm,
that
mhm.
she's essentially trying to clear their name and keep them alive, but she's doing the only one actually getting her hands dirty.
Yeah. And that's a pretty shitty deal. And yeah, all of that gets revealed to and through Lee. I guess kind of in this dream state or whatever as she's unconscious because she is then doesn't she wake up in the basement?
Yep.
Yeah, she wakes up in the basement. And but because the phone's ringing, right?
Yep. The phone is ringing super loud and
Yeah.
way longer than phones normally ring for.
Yeah, and she answers it and it's like a demonic voice and it's like,
And
dude.
if you noticed, the basement was the doll making studio.
Oh, yeah, the
So
exact
he
same.
lived, like, he
Mhm.
made all the dolls there.
He literally was there probably when she was there at the house
Yeah.
earlier, many times, and while she was growing up, was literally living in her basement. And so
So
then
creepy.
that's uh and so,
But she
that's
answers the phone, sorry, like you
answers
said.
the phone. Yeah, answers the phone, and it's a demonic voice, and it's telling her that she's late for the party, I think, right?
You're late for Miss Ruby's birthday party.
And so she rushes out of there. She gets outside. She goes to find a car that's in the little like shed barn thing, and it happens to be fucking same vehicle that Longlegs was driving. We can tell
Yep.
from the car and like the little emblem that's hanging from the thing. And that's whenever she ends up driving all the way to Agent Carter's house. And
Sorry if you can hear that beeping. Okay, it stopped.
No, you're good. And yeah, she gets there, she knocks on the door, and Agent Carter answers, and you can already tell that he's a little off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Come on in, like you the party's just beginning," or something like that. We're in
She
the
just
living room.
started to open her presents, and I was like, "No."
Yeah, because as soon as we walk into the living room, little Ruby's sitting right next to a big ass doll Ruby,
Big ass doll, Ruby, yep.
and her mom's
And
in there.
yep, her mom's there, and she's, like, trying to explain to Carter that that's her mom, and
Mhm,
then he's like, "Shh, not here, none of that." And then the mom explains that the woman is already dead,
mhm.
like, but I guess he hadn't really killed her yet, or maybe he had, and that was like a ghost version of her. I don't know, because then he goes off screen, they go into the kitchen and
Yeah,
to cut
and
up
then
the
she's just
cakes,
there.
and
I
then
don't get
there's
it
her
either
there.
as well, because I don't get how that could be a ghost version of her, you know what I mean? Or I don't know. I think what it was is like her mom was just basically saying like there's nothing you can do to help her. Like at this point, like she's dead. Like he's gonna kill her.
Yeah,
They're too far gone, maybe under the influence is what she was trying to get at.
yeah,
But because I mean it's true, he lit and also at this point too, though, I was just kind of like Carter or Harker is no longer under like the kind of like days of the doll, right? But
mhm,
maybe because it just got like disrupted, she's out of it. I just didn't understand why she didn't like react sooner or like if the mom said she's dead already and he's already being cryptic about like how she's like, we'll be right back from the kitchen. He's like, no, you won't be back. Like,
yeah, you'll stay there.
why did he let the mom go? Why did she let her go? Like
Yeah, she could
she
have
could have
saved her
saved the
maybe.
mom. Yeah, like it just yeah, but the mom gets killed. As you can tell, she's getting murdered in the kitchen off screen because you can hear everything. And we have this whole interaction between the mom and Harker, and she's telling her like, you know, please stop. Like, you don't have to do this. Don't do this, mom. And the mom is basically saying like, I have no choice. I have to do this, or else our souls will burn and wriggle and whatever, whatever.
Regal.
And yeah, wriggle. And
It makes
I'm
me
trying
think
to.
of Schmeagol.
She's
I
like,
let them raw and wriggly.
ew. And
Stupid fat
she's
hobbitses.
trying to save them essentially. Um,
Yeah, she says, all 3 of them have to die. I'm doing this for
mhm.
you, just like I've always done, so that the little girl named Lee would be allowed to grow up. So I'll do it again and
And
again,
again and again and again, and
and
I'll
I'll
do
do
it.
it until I stand upon the sand of the sea, and I'll see the beast that stands upon the sea, or whatever the
Yeah, the revelation
yeah.
thing is, yes.
And then Carter
Excuse me.
comes back out and is
Mhm.
like, got the knife. And so she shoots Carter. And then her mom like tries to come at her. And she's like, sorry, mom, kill shot
Bam!
right to the fucking middle of the forehead. And did it
As she
not look
should.
like whenever her forehead was bleeding, did
Excuse
it
me.
not
Oh
look
my god.
almost like a little cross?
Honestly, I didn't notice,
I
but
think some
probably.
blood spattered like up into the sides and then the
Uh-huh.
trickling of blood down. It looked like a cross to me. I don't know if
Uh,
that was intentional, but
I'm pretty sure it was. If they made the
yeah.
movie, I'm pretty sure it was intentional, but that's honestly probably what they did too, because there was a lot of imagery in this movie, like a lot
Mhm.
of subliminal stuff too, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, yeah, and then yeah, she basically killed her mom, which traumatizing. And then she kills her. Her mom falls back, and then she turns around and she tries to shoot the doll, but the gun keeps shooting, like it keeps clicking blank, or I don't. She's out of rounds, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
she can't
assuming that's what happened. So she can't kill the
shoot the
doll.
doll. Hmm.
And then we get Happy Birthday again, his rendition for Miss Lee Harker. And then it's a little clip of him and he goes, Hail Satan.
And then that's the end of Longlegs.
Funny.
Yeah.
I liked that
The
ending. I thought it was great.
it, as was that like before he killed himself, right? Was that a part of the like 24-minute video, I guess, you
Yeah,
think?
I'm assuming it must be.
Okay. But yeah. And I guess his work is done. Like was he satisfied?
I
Like I'm assuming
guess.
that's why he killed himself.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that movie was a trip. And to be
I'm hoping
honest,
that some of my fun facts will uncover. I haven't read any of them yet because I try not to read them until like
yeah,
in the
because they're
moment.
not as fun if you know.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I'm hoping maybe some of them will shed some light.
Actually, can I hear fun facts before I give my review?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go
So,
that.
fun fact time. Many of
Hmm.
Longlegs' encrypted messages contain misspellings and poor grammar after being decoded. This is an why did I just forget how to say the word homage? To the Zodiac Killer, who is also known for his coded messages containing typos, which often made it more difficult to decode his message. I almost said homage.
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 That's like a name.
um,
Homage.
to promote the film, oh, I didn't know this. To promote the film, Neon created a phone number 458-666-4355, which, if dialed, played a pre-recorded, extremely disturbing message from Nicolas Cage as the killer.
That's creepy.
That is. I wish I would have known that so I could have done it.
Yeah.
Um,
You think it still works?
yeah, I'm gonna have to try it.
What's the phone number?
458
Four
666
six six.
4355. Watch it just be someone's number. Hello.
Oh my god. I have to be like,
There she is. And what's your name? Little angel? Thank you. Oh, Humpy. Humpy.
Oh,
that's it.
what did he say? I couldn't understand
Oh,
it.
you couldn't tell he was breathing, and it's from Bend, Oregon. From Oregon, he was saying he was just breathing heavily, and he was just like, "Oh, hello,
I heard,
little
"What's your
girl,
name,
yeah,
little
what's your
girl,"
name?"
or something.
or something like that. And then he was like,
Or
"I'll be
maybe
waiting
it
for
was,
you at the
"What's your
end."
birthday?"
It was just a lot of heavy breathing, really. I feel like.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Not
That's
too
cool.
disturbing. It said
If you ever
extremely
want to
disturbing, but
give your phone number out, and you don't want them to actually have your phone number, that's what you
there
give
you
out.
go. 458-666-4355. Again,
5.
that is 458-666-4355. But let's see. Next fun fact. Despite the praise and acclaim of his portrayal as Longlegs, Nicolas Cage has stated this will be his first and only portrayal of a serial killer for film. In an interview with IndieWire, Cage said, I know that the phone's going to be ringing off the hook to play serial killers after Longlegs. And that's not really what I like to do. I don't like violence. I don't want to play people who are hurting people.
Okay.
That's a
Word.
lot of, I mean, he did a great job in this role, but it's like, that's kind of cocky of you to say.
Yeah.
I I mean, I think you did a great job though. So, I mean,
Tidbits.
yeah. During an interview, Osgood Perkins recalled a story from production where he learned Nicolas Cage has a particular skill that he says no other actor possesses, the ability to recognize how high or low he is able to speak without messing up the audio. According to Perkins, the sound guy came over to me one day. he comes up to me a couple of days into Nick being on set, and he's like, Oz, I've never seen anything like it. When Nick is Mike, I'm watching the dials. When Nick goes big, he goes right to the line. Anything more, a decibel or two over that, and it would be hard to use. Then he goes down, he goes soft and is whispering, and he's barely talking. He goes right to the line. Anything past that line, you wouldn't be able to use it. He knows where the lines are, and that's the craziest thing I've seen in my life. So he's can
That's cool.
tell like the decibels of which he's supposed to speak.
Hmm.
That's cool. So it doesn't like crack and stuff and be too quiet. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's wild.
That's like a
No, yeah.
superpower.
That's what I was about to say. It sounds like Nicolas Cage is actually getting help from the devil.
Yeah.
The-
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he like sold his soul after like going bankrupt and shit.
yeah. Shoot,
Like,
Ghost Rider. It
yeah,
wasn't fake. It was real.
it was real. The request of Osgood Perkins of not using Nicolas Cage on the posters or in the trailer, despite him playing the titular character, led Neon to come up with a creative plan to promote and sell the movie without depending on Cage.
Hmm.
Okay, so that shed no light, but
No, none whatsoever. But it did help to eliminate yeah, I don't know. Uh, upon first watching it, after watching it, I was kind of like more like puzzled. And I guess most movies, if they leave me like kind of like bamboozled and wanting to dig more and search more into it, it's kind of a good thing because I kind of want to understand and learn more of it and kind of figure out why like things happened. And I don't know. I think that it started overall visually, let's just say it's really pretty. It's got some really cool like shots. It does a really it's stylized really cool. It's just like a really
yeah,
cool artsy kind of horror film.
I liked all the
Um
transitions. They were subtle,
indie.
but they were good.
Yeah, it gives that like indie film vibe, you know?
Yeah,
But
and it was just really beautiful.
uh-huh. And there weren't too many characters. There was no like super big stars or anything like that. So it was very much like focused on like the story and what was going on. And then its biggest star, which would be Nick Cage, was under like not underutilized, but like under uh like you said, like they didn't put him on the forefront of anything. And
Yeah,
especially like even in the
and then he was
beginning,
also under pounds of makeup
yeah,
and
and like
prosthetics.
prosthetics, yeah. Um, like,
So he was unrecognizable.
uh-huh. It it made it feel like kind of like when they try to create something that's scarier than it is because you can't see it, you know, our imagination is a lot scarier. So even at the beginning when like he ducks down and he even as little as saying like looks like I wore my long legs, let me just and he wasn't even doing anything like necessarily spooky.
Inherently creepy.
It's just that it was because I don't know, the character itself. Um, but it was I thought it was compelling and it was pretty dark and I like that we get like this cop drama where we kind of like a lot of it did remind me of Silence of the Lambs and kind of
Mhm.
like every other movie where it's like, okay, yeah, like we're searching for a killer, we're searching like, oh, you know, it's cat and mouse, you know, like, oh, he's leaving clues, like, oh, we just missed him and now we gotta, you know, go find him. But um it was really good like that. But then we had the addition of like the supernatural and like the devil type of stuff to it. So um it added an element of kind of like a new type of genre almost in itself. Kind of like almost where we were going with that this kind of did it better where The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It was trying to go.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I feel like this definitely did it a lot better. We're trying to mix
Yes.
like real life people situation with like the occult kind of getting mixed in there. But then it's like also a police investigation.
Yeah.
Um uh
I think it
and
did it better because it had a singular storyline
that's
that
true, that's
like
true.
had a lot of loose ends that all came together. But like The Devil Made Me Do It had like 3 different main plots that were happening and they didn't merge well.
Mhm. Yeah. And even then, this could still lead to like more because then we could get like a spinoff. Like Longlegs is not the only one. Like there's so many other devils of the agent, like kind of orchestrating and working in mass serial killing, or there could be more like into the background of Longlegs himself. Like who is he before he did all of that? Was he kind of like Ruth, where he was kind of like a regular person at one point, and then he just kind of lost himself in the like servitude, essentially.
Yeah,
You know,
got roped into
um,
it somehow.
hmm and now, um, yeah, you know what? 5 booze. It's 5
Yeah,
booze. Yeah, it was a good movie.
it was.
I wanna hate it, honestly, because it left
Why?
me so fucking puzzled.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I was so, like, scratching my head at the end of it. Like, "What? Like, what even happened?" But
Yeah, it is kind of a, like, fever dream almost,
uh-huh,
like, it's like, "What in
and it
the
moves
world
pretty
did I
fast
really just watch?" Yeah, it did.
for an
Like
almost 2-hour film. Yeah.
mhm.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it 5 boosts too. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. And I don't wanna hate it. Um, I just I really liked it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought Nicolas Cage did a phenomenal job as being one of the creepiest, like, serial killers I think I've ever seen portrayed.
Yeah.
Um, and because he was unsettling, but, like, he wasn't really doing anything to be like, it was just him was so creepy, his entire existence, but, like, he wasn't the one doing the killing and stuff, at least in the end. Um, and I wonder if he had other people before him, before her, before Ruth, because like, he says the
The
7th
7th Sea.
she
Yeah.
yeah. So I wonder if, like
There had to have been other women before her or something.
yeah, um, or if that's, like I'm assuming it must be some sort of biblical reference too, but,
Maybe.
um yeah, I don't know. I thought Nick Cage did a phenomenal job. I thought really all the actors and actresses did like they just blew it out of the water. It was incredible. And um I just loved this movie. Like I want to watch it again to go back and look at all the demonic shadows and stuff cuz I would like to watch it without taking notes. Um but
Yeah,
yeah,
go back. I'm telling you, they're in there a
yeah, I
lot.
think it would be
Alright.
cool to watch them, or at least a few times. I took pretty extensive notes. Like, I was writing down, like, a lot of what they said.
We're the exact opposite. Because my notes, the reason why I was all like, "What happened?" Like, and it's been like, my notes were so sparse because I was so like trying to be like, I was so watching it.
Oh,
Like, what happened? Like, that's all my
yeah.
notes. Yeah.
My notes are literally, like
Yeah. No.
it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took, like, major notes. So,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think I
they're
missed
very blink if you miss. They're you miss them because they
blink
happen,
and you miss them. Yeah.
and it's not. And you have to like if your lighting was too bright, like, you probably miss it. Like, it's probably
Yeah.
good to watch it at night. Yeah.
Yeah. My lighting was there was a lot of dark scenes in here where I couldn't really see. So,
Yeah.
that could also be it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think overall 5 boos from your boo bays. And if you haven't seen this movie, I
Go
definitely
watch it.
recommend you go watch it. There's I mean, other than the mom being like the twist, it's not really a twist because she gives bad vibes from the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, like I wasn't surprised whenever
No.
it came up. So hopefully you will go watch this film if you haven't already, and maybe you've already seen it. But yeah, as always, we are being hosted by the lovely Rogue Media Network Studios. They
Mhm.
always take great care of us.
You can listen to our podcast and a lot of other podcasts that they have on, um, a slew of places, but also at their official website, which is roadmeanetwork.com.
That's right. And if you want to listen to us or any of those other podcasts, you can do so on wherever you get your podcasts. But the biggest two platforms would be,
Spotify.
and also Apple. And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on Longlegs or Smile 2 or any movies. We've got some movies in the works now of movies we need to cover for some listeners. We had 2 listeners reach out with listener requests recently. So we will be covering those films for y'all shortly. But yeah, you can reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BOOBAES, boob a podcast, because we're your boob babes, not your boob babes.
that's right. And yeah, what did you say you wanted to cover next?
Heretic.
Heretic, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see that one so bad. So
Yeah.
I've
So we're
heard
gonna be doing that
great
one.
things. So
We're
yeah,
gonna
we'll
be
be
covering
covering
a lot of films that kind of came out at the latter half of last year,
Yeah.
essentially because they're streaming now. And last year was a really good year for like horror movies.
It was. I mean, like a lot of the Oscars and everything are all the Academy Awards, like everything's all coming out right now. And like they're actually getting nominated.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. So yeah, it was a good year for horror. It really was. And I'm excited to be covering all these films with you.
Yay. Anything else we need to add?
I don't think so. I think that's all from me. Oh, I bought a house. What I couldn't tell y'all last time is I bought a house because now we've hard launched it. It's not a cute, like old house like I dream of, but it is still a very cute new house. And so you'll be seeing my background change very soon here.
A whole room dedicated to boobays. Make a whole
boobays room.
Podcasting.
Well, Andrew will have an office, so it'll probably be somewhere in there that I'll record.
Maybe we could get you a little setup that you could like pull up and down, you know?
Oh yeah, maybe.
When you record. But all right. Until next time.
Until next time, you guys. Bye, babe.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Boobays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.